guys, welcome back to the podcast, and today we are going to talk about the impact of comparison on your mental health. Now, 3 things. 100% comparison is normal. Number 2, everybody does it. And number 3, it's going to be hard to avoid. Because with social media and with how much you're consuming, at some point in your life, in your day, in your week, in your month, in the year, you are going to compare yourself to somebody else. And the thing about social media is that we are given highlight reels of everybody's lives. And you aren't seeing the, behind the scenes work everybody's doing, the really bad days people are having, because with social media, people are sharing what they feel comfortable sharing. And most of the time what they're sharing is the really good vacations, the really good financial places they're in, the events that they're going to, the celebrations. They're always showing the good. And I've also noticed that recently, going into, the longer social media is around, a lot of people are becoming more, comfortable with sharing those like nitty-gritty moments, those really bad days, and being like open and honest. And I think that's what we really need. And the more that people do that, the easier it's going to be not to compare yourself to people. But I think even then, we're still going to compare ourselves because, you have the feeling of being left behind in life, or, left behind on what you're working on, because you're seeing what all these other people are doing, and you feel like, you are not where you should be in life. Again, there's a thing where you're like, by your 30s, you need to be married and starting a family and have the career that you want and be financially stable. And for a lot of us, that's just not true, and that's not reality. And everybody in every stage of life is in a different point. And I think even people on a mental health journey, it can be really easy to follow other people who are sharing about their mental health or where they're at. And it can be extremely easy to compare, your day 5 to someone's day 200. And you can compare yourself of like, how come I'm not where they are? How come, their medication is working for them? How come journaling, meditation, therapy is working for them and it's not working for me? And how come I just can't be happy like they are? And so on and so on and so on. So, the worry that somebody else is having a better time or is more successful than you can come up. You can feel envy and down on yourself because of what other people are posting on social media. That can associate with, worsening how you feel about yourself. Comparison can make you feel loneliness, anxiety, the fear of missing out, social comparison, and depression, poor self-esteem, poor body image, if you're comparing yourself to somebody's body, and why can't I look like them, and why do I look like this? So it's very important to be aware of who you follow and what you're consuming. Because if you're following people who you're constantly comparing yourself to, you're always going to feel bad about yourself. You're always going to feel horrible about where you are in life compared to where they are in life. You are going to really lose who you are because you're so busy trying to be somebody else. That's the biggest thing I think about comparison, is where like, how can we be like them? How can we, travel more like them? How can we have a job like them? How can we be financially stable like them? Mental health wise, how can I be in a better mental state? How can I be healthier? How can I be where that person is today? And the truth is, you're not ever going to be like anybody else, because you are you, uniquely you, and there's nobody else like you. And I think that you just need to focus on who you are before you can try to even focus on what other people are doing. And a lot of the times too, I think people also say like, people are being so creative and they have so many followers and they have so many likes, and like, what if I post something and it doesn't go good, or you do post something and it doesn't go good, and you're like, okay, how come what this person is doing is working, what I'm doing is not working, and that's another way you compare yourself. And a lot of times there are people who, yes, buy, those followers and they get all those likes, and a lot of stuff is fake. It's not a real life. There are a lot of people out there who are putting false things out there, that are putting pictures and statements and, making it seem like their life is so much better than it is, when in reality, it's really not. And I think a lot of other things that can come up for you is if you're somebody who's trying to create something on the internet, it could kill your creativity to constantly be comparing yourself to somebody else's page and somebody else's followers and their likes. That was something for me that I had to take a step back and say, if I'm going to be creative and if I'm going to create a platform around mental health, I can't compare myself to all the other people who are doing mental health, content, because their content and what they're producing is going to be different than mine. And I think it's easy to compare what they're putting out and be like, oh, I could do that too. But then you're always going to be competing with that person. I think there is a step where the impact of comparison can start to become a competition. How can I outdo these people? How can I do better? And again, I think along that line, it can kill your creativity even more. It can make you feel worse about yourself. And I think also online, there's just, cyberbullying. There's people that are mean to each other, and just there's so much that's going on social media that you need to be aware of, if you're comparing yourself to somebody, maybe why you're doing it. And maybe it's a good sign to say, hey, how do I break this habit? Because let's, talk about breaking the habit of comparing yourself to somebody else. Maybe that's what you need. You're like, I do it all the time. How do I stop doing it? Be aware, because the act of comparison is normal. It can begin taking over your mind before your awareness kicks in. Become conscious of the thought patterns that come with comparison. When you're on the lookout for these feelings and emotions, you'll notice when they begin. So be more aware when you're on social media and you might be comparing yourself to somebody else. The feelings and the emotions you will get when you feel a certain way that somebody has something you don't have, you're going to start to notice that more if you put in the practice of really looking for that when you're on social media. You can be on and, be commenting on somebody's stuff and loving what people are doing. It's when you start, why can't I have that? Why can't I travel like them? Why can't I be where they're at in their mental health journey? That you need to take a step back and subconsciously be aware that you're doing that. So then you can say, okay, I'm noticing that I'm doing that. Maybe I need to not follow this person. Maybe I just don't need to consume their stuff, and start going from there. How do you break it? You just kind of stop. Once comparison starts, negative self-talk starts, or degrading thoughts fill your head, stop. Don't let them take over. Take a moment to acknowledge your feelings, then shift your mind away onto something else. If you're, looking at somebody and you start comparing your body to them, you start this negative self-talk to yourself, these degrading thoughts start filling your head, stop yourself, get off their page, stop consuming their stuff, acknowledge the feelings that you're having around it, and then shift your mind to something else. It's the moment that you're in that you need to say, I'm acknowledging this is making me feel this certain way, and I'm stopping myself from doing it, and we are shifting our mind to something else to make us feel better. Get off social media, watch your favorite TV show, or simply have maybe a list that you can write to say, when I compare myself to others, this is the list I go back to say, this is the people I have in my life who love me. This is what I have in my life to enjoy. This is, the creativity that I get to do. this is where I'm at in my mental health journey. This is what I'm doing for myself. And, steer yourself into that mindset of not comparing yourself and filling your head with these negative thoughts of, why am I not where that person is? Really count your blessings. Our lives are filled with lucky stars, so count them. Remind yourself that blessings are abound and choose to see them. Focus on what makes you unique, healthy, and prosperous. Be proud of who you are and what you've overcome. I think that anybody who chooses to take care of their mental health, to make that one of their focuses in their lives, you should be so proud of who you are. You should be so proud of where you're at in your journey, and you should be proud of what you've overcome so far, no matter where you're at in your journey. Because I think just taking that step to really take care of yourself, to really figure out what you need, to reach out to a doctor, to a therapist, is going to be the best thing for you. And I don't care where other people are at in their lives, and I don't care what other people are doing. You should be proud of yourself, you should be proud of your life, and you should be proud of where you are, no matter where you are at in life. And again, comparing yourself to other people can just make you feel awful. So really count your blessings and be, grateful for the life that you have. No one is perfect. Perfectionism is an illusion. We all have issues we're battling. Your friends who seem to have it all together also have problems too. Be okay with your imperfections. That's why I say it's a highlight reel. People are only sharing what they want to share, and a lot of people are only sharing the good. And everybody has some type of issue in their life that they're battling. No matter how small or how big it is, there is always something we're trying to overcome. There is always something or some type of journey we're going on in life. And be okay with your own imperfections, because nobody's perfect. Nobody's meant to be perfect. Life is supposed to be messy. We're supposed to mess up. We're supposed to fail. We're supposed to fall down. And then, we learn to get back up, and we learn to keep going, and we learn what's going to work for us. And I think really that's just the best you can do. And, if you see somebody's perfect, put together content, just think like they spent hours, putting this together, recording videos, taking that right angle of picture, writing that perfect post just to put it out there. And you can absolutely do the same. But I think, like what I'm saying is that I think a lot more people should show the messy, show the imperfections, and show the behind the scenes of their lives, because I think that will stop a lot of comparison, but then it allows people to connect with you more on a deeper level than they would have before. Because when you show the messy, when you show the complications, when you show the imperfections, it's easier for people to relate with you rather than, compare themselves to your perfect life that might not be so perfect. No more judging. Belittling somebody else to make yourself look better is destructive for your relationships and only hurt you. Stay focused on where you want to go, not the path of others. That's what comparison does, is you think to yourself, how can I have the life they have? How can I go on the path that they've gone on? And really, you need to just stay focused on where you want to go and what you want to do and where you want to be in your life or at your mental health, rather than trying to figure out how to live somebody else's life. And I think a lot of times when you go on social media, you're like living through somebody else, like them going on vacations and them doing the things you want to do. And it can make, again, you just feel really horrible if you can't do those things. So, don't judge other people for what they're doing or how they're living their life. Kind of learn to just focus on you and what you need and where you need to go in life, and follow your own path and put everybody else's paths to the side and ignore them and just keep going on your own path and figure out what you need to do for you. And the biggest thing is to love yourself. If envying what others is your sole focus, your desire to, accumulate more and be more, you will never be satisfied. Having a closet full of clothes, accolades on the shelf, and driving the fastest car will not fill your life with contentment. Only loving yourself can do that. You need to learn how to love yourself and your life where it's at now, because again, comparing yourself is normal, but I think it's when we constantly do it, when we constantly strive to have what other people are, what they have, you start to lose really who you are and what you love about yourself. And, envying what other people have in life is not going to get you anywhere. You need to figure out what's best for you. You need to figure out the things you love to do. You need to figure out the things that bring you joy. You need to hang out with the people who make you feel the most like yourself, who don't want to change you, who want to encourage you to be you. And at the end of the day, no matter how much somebody else cares for you and somebody else loves you, you need to love yourself, and you need to learn how to do that first, also before you can love other people. Because if you don't love yourself and you are constantly going to compare yourself to what other people have, you're never going to be satisfied, you're never going to be happy, and you're never going to be content. You're always going to be striving for something more. And when you love yourself first and find that thing that is for you, you will start not to care what other people are doing. You will stop comparing yourself to other people because you will just be happy with what you have in life and what is yours and the people you have around you. And you will just feel 100%, better, while scrolling social media, because that comparison won't be there, because you know who you are, you know what you want, you know where you're going in life, and you can just kind of be happy for other people instead of always comparing your life to theirs. So, let's talk about maybe you don't deal with comparison, but you have a friend that is comparing themselves to everybody. So let's talk about how you can help a friend who's socially comparing themselves all the time. So if you see a friend fixating on their likes or their, following count, they're experiencing cyberbully, they're trying detoxes or other, disorder eating habits to look like their favorite influencer, it's important for you to speak up by making sure that they know how important your friendship is outside of social media and the importance of their physical and emotional help. You let them know that their worth extends offline. You can also share what you've learned here and encourage them to structure their social media use in ways to support them rather than challenge their mental health. There are too many people out there who are living for the likes. They're living for the follows. They're living for that connection online that I don't think will ever get. Somebody that you're friends with who they're always trying to compete with others online. Their full life is online. They're so consumed with social media that their outside world doesn't even matter or exist to them. It might be a time for you to sit down and say, hey, I love you and I see what you're putting yourself through, and I think maybe it's time to take a step back from social media, take care of yourself, and figure out where you're at mentally before you go back on to consuming again. Because nowadays social media is so addictive that people get so consumed. And when you get so consumed on social media, the comparison can be like something you're doing every single day. Again, you want to be like your favorite influencers, you want to eat like them, you want to work out like them, and you want to have the body type like them, you want to travel like them, you want to be mentally in a great place like them. And when you're constantly striving for that, again, you're not loving yourself, you're not focusing on yourself, you're just striving for what other people have. How can I, have all these things other people have? Because if I have that, that will make me fulfilled in life. And it's in that moment you need to realize that taking that step back from social media is going to be the best thing for you, because you need to focus on you. You need to focus, if you're telling a friend this, you just tell them, I love you and I'm seeing this and it's changing who you are, and you're always striving to be somebody else. And I think you truly need to be you, and I love you and our friendship is important, and I just don't want to see you keep doing this to yourself. And I think sometimes a lot of people just need somebody to step in and be like, hey, this isn't healthy, and I think you need to take a step back and you need to focus on you before you can, consume what you're consuming every day and continue, feeling like crap. And I think that's why it gives people anxiety, because, you're anxious to be like somebody else and you're scared you're missing out, the fear of missing out. If you're not where other people are, it can make you very depressed when you're not where people are. You can just make your mental health horrible. So if you see a friend like that, or maybe you realize you're like that, it's time to take a step back, focus on you, and then go back to social media when, you think it's better. Because social media by itself isn't the cause of the issues. Low self-esteem, poor body image, and being vulnerable to mental illness often make people more likely to seek out validation and community through social media. As we said earlier, positive interaction and self-expression through social media are beneficial. However, predatory advertisement like detox programs and etc., idolized lives from influencers, and cyberbullying are the main culprits within social media that lead to comparison and negative outcomes. It increases in depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and suicidal thoughts. This is something else that I realized. When you feel a certain way, you are going on social media for those positive interactions. You are, seeking out validation from others. You're seeking community. And the biggest thing is that when you're doing that too much, you forget your friends around you. You forget to socialize with people. That's why in my last podcast episode, when I talk about taking a break from social media, and I do encourage anybody who feels like their comparison is really bad to listen to, that episode, because when you are around people and you are so consumed in social media and you're not able to connect with the people in front of you, that's a big issue. You are never going to feel 100% connected or have validation from a community on the internet. You need those face-to-face interactions. Even if they're on FaceTime or Zoom, or, in real life, meeting up with someone for lunch, for coffee, just those interactions in real life is what you need. You need those connections. And I think if you're somebody who is comparing yourself to other people, or to where other people are, or to your mental health to other people, it might be important for you to reach out to somebody that won't judge you, who loves and who cares about you, who you can be open with, and, have an honest conversation with them. Say, hey, can we meet up? Can we go for, coffee, breakfast, lunch, dinner? Can we just go out and talk? And to have that one-on-one conversation with somebody that you can connect with, that you can get that, positive validation from, is going to be better for you. I think trying to create a community can be sometimes good for you on social media, but I think that to go a step further, you have to, be able to connect with those people in real life instead of always trying to just go to a community to feel good about yourself or to get that validation. And there is nothing more important than human connection. You know, one-on-one, face-to-face connection. You are never going to get that on social media, no matter what community in, no matter what you're doing, no matter who you're following, no matter what friends you're like friends with. We are always going to need, you know, that connection in real life. And if you're feeling like comparison is a big thing, you may need to just talk to somebody about it and have that real life one-to-one connection. So if you or someone you know just can't kick that social media habits, despite it making you feel worse, or, you know, you're struggling with your mental health because you can't separate from social media, the best important thing you can do is to ask for help, and if it's for a friend, to get them help. You know, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and suicidal thoughts should never go ignored. You should never ignore what social media is doing to you. And if you just can't disconnect from it and it's just making you feel worse about yourself, you need to reach out to somebody. You need to let somebody know how it's making you feel, and you need to figure out, you know, how to disconnect from social media and how to take care of yourself, and then go back when you're in a better mind state. Because again, if you're feeling depressed, if you're having anxiety, if you're, you know, now having eating disorders and you're trying all these diets and these detox and you just don't understand why they're working, and you've gotten to the point where it's so bad that you just like feel horrible about yourself and you're questioning your existence, please seek help. And if you see a friend going through it, please help them, because sometimes it can be hard to acknowledge when you're going through something like that. And sometimes I think even it's hard to admit when you feel that way or you're feeling those feelings. But what's going to be best for you is to reach out to somebody, a loved one maybe at first, somebody that you trust and know that won't judge you, to, you know, seek help from them, because then maybe they can encourage you to, you know, seek help with therapy or going to a doctor and talking to somebody, again, like a therapist, who is going to be able to help you dive into why you're feeling the way you feel and how you can work on where you need to go in the future to, you know, help your mindset and your mental health, and to be able to consume social media in a more healthy way. Social media can be consumed, you know, fine by people who know how to be aware of those moments and those things that make them feel a certain way. I think it's when social media, you know, causes you to feel bad about yourself or to worsen, you know, your mental health, that you just need to separate yourself from it and figure out, again, what you need to do for you, figure out who you are, figure out what you love about yourself, and go forward. Social media isn't for everybody, and that's okay if it's not for you. I think another thing that I talked about in my last podcast episode is there is a spot on Instagram that you can go on and set like a timer for yourself, and it'll pop up and say, hey, you've been on for the amount of time you said that you were going to be on, and after that you get off. And I think maybe if you're struggling with, you know, separating your life from social media or comparing yourself really bad to somebody on social media, it can be important to unfollow them, to, you know, delete the app for a while, to deactivate your account, you know, just do what's best for you, and then slowly come back to it and figure out a way to consume things in a healthier place than maybe you were before. So again, comparison is normal. It's, I think, happens to everybody. I think it's just how we let it affect our mental health, affect our lives, affect who we think we are or where we think we need to be in life that really matters. And, you know, I want you to, try this. If you notice yourself comparing yourself to others, take a pause. See if you can pinpoint what that envy says about the things you value, financial stability, community, a fulfilling career. Then use that intuition to make a choice that gets you closer to what you really want. In that moment, say to yourself, why am I comparing myself to these people that I'm following? What is it that they have that I want? And, maybe say to yourself, okay, how can I make choices in my life to maybe, get where I think I need to go or where I want to go, but to make it work for me? Because everybody has a different life and everybody is doing different things every day, and how somebody got to where they're going, or if you're comparing yourself to, again, their day 500 to your day 5, you have to realize a lot of the work they put in to get there, a lot of the time they spent, a lot of maybe, money they put in for a career, or again, you're not seeing the journey they went on. So I think when comparison starts, you just need to stop. You need to pinpoint what it is that you're comparing and maybe why you're comparing yourself to it, and then figure out that if that's something you really want in life, how can you get yourself there that's going to work for you and for your life and for you what you want, and then go in that direction. And before I leave you, I just want you to remember that growth isn't always comfortable. Growing past comparison and growing in any direction in life is very uncomfortable when you realize you have to do it. I also think that change in life is very uncomfortable. We like things to be the way they are, and we like things to stay the same. And when we have to change certain things, and when we have to grow past the person we have become, we get uncomfortable and we don't like it. And sometimes that can make you fall back into old habits. And maybe an old habit is comparing yourself to other people. But I think if you choose to grow and you choose to take care of yourself and to love yourself and to figure out what you need and where you need to go in life and what is going to work for you, that's going to be the best. It isn't always going to be comfortable, but it's going to be worth it. And I think that you should always choose you. You should always love you. Love your life. Count your blessings. You are uniquely you. There's not one other person on this planet that is who you are and who you're going to be. And I think that is ultimately amazing. And I think comparison can just make us forget that we are uniquely special just the way we are, and we don't need to change anything about ourselves. We just need to be us, and that is really all that is enough. So I hope this episode can help you realize that comparing yourself is not good, and it's not going to get you anywhere. That at the end of the day, you just need to love yourself and who you are, and figure out what path in life you need to go on to make yourself happy and to live the best life you can possibly live. And again, comparison is going to happen, but it's what we learn from comparison and what we learn not to do with comparison that is going to be very helpful. So thanks for letting me chat with you guys today, and I will talk to you again real soon in the next episode.